Sarazanmai is a strange show. Honestly, the review could just end there, really. But of course, we definitely need to get into why it is so strange. And yes, as you've probably also seen in the title, it's been 5 years since the show was released. So we'll also touch on that a little bit. More in terms of, does the show kind of hold up now still, and a little bit on, would you want to watch it if you haven't even heard of it / watched it yet? So yes, this video will be spoiler free, and there will also be a couple of times where in the review I will kind of mention or say something along the lines of, oh, I can't really go into that any further because, well, like I said, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free, so of course it will sound like I'm being vague, but that's for a good reason. But anyway, let's get into the video. Now, I should also point out that I'm not really sure what direction I want this video to go in, so honestly, this video might be a bit all over the place, and where I will try to reach some kind of conclusion, I can't really promise this will be a full in-depth review. So, anyway, like I said before, let's get into the video. Now, the main concept of the show is the idea surrounding desire and love. Essentially, which is it? Now, if you do some searching, you will find that there is a bit of discussion about this as a generalized concept. But from my understanding, love is an emotion you feel towards that special someone or thing, usually a romantic emotion, whereas a desire is more of a want, something that you quite literally desire. And this show definitely does a good job at showing the differences. Of course, it goes a bit deeper than that, as in, the main characters must extract the shirikodama of these kappa zombies, which exist, because the two other main characters, or I guess technically main antagonists, Reo and Mabu, and if you've seen this show, please don't sound off in the comments, remember I'm keeping this spoiler free, they are responsible for finding out if a person, usually a criminal, is doing what they're doing either for love or for desire. And in doing so, they are turning them into a kappa zombie. And so, it is the job of our 3 main characters, who get turned into kappa, yep, we'll come back to that, to extract the shirikodama from the kappa zombie and find out their secret. Which is usually a pretty strange desire that the kappa zombie was after. And yes, if you heard the word kappa, you'd be right in thinking that, of course, these are based on the same kappas in Japanese folklore. It's quite interesting to look into when you do, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to do further reading into that, but it is quite fascinating. Now, of course, this show has a lot more to it than that, as there is fighting, tears, violent scenes, loss and trauma that is presented through the characters, but as you've guessed, and as I said at the beginning, I'm not really going to go into that because I want to keep this video spoiler free. You know, taking a moment to kind of read all of that or what I just said, I realised that there is no excusing how absolutely strange this show is, which is something we'll get into now, as I feel like the strange / weird parts of the show are what can take up quite a big chunk of this video. So let's get into that. Now, it's been mentioned a few times that yes, this show has some weird stuff in it, and if you don't believe me, let me present you with how the main characters turn into a kappa. Still not weird enough? Okay, well, let me show you how they extract the desires of the kappa zombies. Yep, pretty strange, right? No? I don't want to know what kind of stuff you've seen if this isn't weird yet. Okay, now, they need to do something called a Sarazanmai. And well, here you go. May I remind you that these characters are 14. I'm not kidding, and to be honest, it doesn't really stop there, because here are some other things. especially this, from the first episode.
No way. That was you all along?
Really? Come on now, that wasn't necessary. Anyway, then there is this scene.
You're still in. You're still in. You're still in, kiddo. You're still in.
My naked skin pressed against it. I'm about to lose it.
You're still
Enter
in.
the golden duo. Never quit!
Okay. Now, to be fair, let's be honest, with animes, it's usually always, dare I say, female characters that this stuff usually happens to. And where I'm not exactly saying that this stuff is A-okay, because it's still very weird and it's not right, it's a different change to see male characters. But also, they're 14! Come on, Japan! Okay, moving on though, because, well, all I'll say is that you basically just have to get used to this stuff, and expect it in this show. But let's now talk about what makes this show good. Now, yes, I know I've of course mentioned the weird stuff, but honestly, it definitely makes the show quite unique and memorable. But it's not just that though, because the characters are what also keeps the show interesting. Because of course, if they just kept extracting the desires every single episode, it would probably get quite boring. But it doesn't, because there are actually a few episodes where they don't. And I appreciate the fact that this show doesn't just try to stick to this one concept and repeat it every single episode, that it goes stale. Because, where yes, of course a show has to do that and stick to a concept, the point is that this is how the story develops, because there is a catch to extracting the desires. So, when one of the main characters has their desire extracted, and then they of course complete a Sarazanmai, what happens then is something called leaking, and we end up learning a secret of one of the main characters. Now, what we learn is of course something I won't reveal, but it is what keeps this concept interesting. Of course, as I also mentioned, there are quite a lot of backstories that we learn about that are honestly quite heartbreaking and really hard to learn about, especially with Toy, which I think is a good way to segue into talking about the characters. Our three main characters are Kazuki, Enter, and Toy, and gosh dang it, they're just adorable. Given that, especially when they're all together as friends, it's an adorable friendship. Now, given of course that these three are involved in being turned into Kappas, and of course extracting the desires, they very quickly become close to one another. And I guess you could say with this scene they're friends for life now. Goodness me, they've definitely got to know each other. I'm kidding, chill out! Now, Kazuki is basically the lead character, with the beginning of the story revolving around him, with Enter being next and then Toy. But of course, as mentioned, they all become very close, when they end up insulting Keppi by calling him a frog, where he then turns them into a Kappa. And where yes, I know I said they're adorable, I mean just look at them though. I doubt they can get any cuter, right? Babies! Look at how small and cute they are! Sorry. Anyway, moving on. So, our next characters are Reo and Mabu, who are on the opposing side and work for an otter who... I really can't explain what that means. But, let's just say they have a big involvement with creating the Kappa zombies. And finally, of course, there is Keppi, who is, of course, on the side of the three main characters, and is, in fact, a Kappa. No more really needs to be said, to be honest. Now, Haruka is Kazuki's younger brother, who plays a big role in this show, especially for Kazuki's story. And I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. I can't say any more without spoiling the plot. So let's talk about the animation and music, because, oh boy, let's just say the music is the main reason why I'm here talking about this show 5 years later. But first, the animation though. Now, since it's produced by Mappa, of course, everything looks amazing. The animation is amazing, so the colours and overall look of the show. And they even have a few moments where they incorporate real-life footage with the animation, especially in the ending song, which looks amazing. The music. Goodness me, if I said that I've heard that song over 100 times, it's probably closer to 1,000 times at this point. You'd probably think I'm joking, but no, because I took it upon myself to make a full dub edit, because yes, they actually dubbed the song into English. Now it's pretty amazing, but on the release of the CD, there was a full version of the song in Japanese, and since we didn't have one for the English dub, I decided to cut up bits and pieces of the vocals from the English dub and release the full song to YouTube. And well, almost 5 years later, more in terms of the release of the original video I'm talking about, not the anime, and quite literally over 20,000 views later, here we are again, where I have re-released much cleaner edits of those edits to celebrate the 5 years of the anime. But yeah, this song is pretty much living in my head rent-free. Now I know I sound like I'm hating on the song or that I resent it in some way, but I actually don't. Because, obviously, this song holds a special place in my heart, not only because the edit allowed me to learn some new skills in terms of audio editing, mixing and mastering, but it also meant I could share something with the fans of the anime that a lot of the fans actually said they were looking for, which I really do appreciate. Now, there is one more song that exists in the anime, and that involves Reo and Mabu.
Pathetic livestock, beaten and defeated. Are you man or swine?
Of course, this was also something that I did a full edit on. Now, I do need to take the time to share my appreciation for the amazing team of people who not only created an amazing dub version, but of course the voice actors who performed them. Because seriously, these dub songs are incredible, and I really just want the voice cast and the producers who worked on the English dub to know that they did an amazing job. And thank you for giving us something that we can just all truly enjoy. As for the opening and ending songs of the anime, unfortunately, I can't play them because I would definitely get a copyright strike. But they sound incredible. Both opening and endings are really upbeat and honestly kind of kick you in the teeth with their strong rock instrumental. They sound amazing, given as well that the opening is also produced by Kana Boom. They're incredible. Well, we're at the end of the video, and honestly, I still can't believe it has been 5 years since this show was released. And where I'm not going to act like this show is a big part of my everyday life, it's of course a show that I have a special place for in my heart, and I honestly don't ever want to forget this show. Now, like the name of my channel implies though, I would argue that this show definitely falls under the title of niche. Where yes, it did get a dub, I wouldn't really say that this was a massively talked about show, and it very quickly got pushed to the side. But I'm hoping that this video will at least bring it back into light, and if you haven't seen this anime yet, I would say give it a try. It's weird, it's crazy, but it definitely has a lot of heart and emotion where you could definitely find something in this show to enjoy. And well, I think it's definitely time for me to congratulate Sarazanmai on 5 years. And I'm really glad that I went back and rewatched the show again, since I knew I did want to write this video. To be able to experience the characters and story once more, and to also remake the full English dub fan edits of the songs from the show, thank you to both the Japanese and English teams. I know I'm assuming they're even watching this video, but anyway. But thank you for creating an experience that I hope we can never forget. And of course, thank you to Kinohiko Ikuhara for creating the concept in the first place. To put into perspective the reason why the amount of time is so crazy for me is because I was in my first year of university when this show came out, and I graduated 2 years ago when making this video. It's insane how quickly the time goes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I realize this was a lot longer of a video than I expected to make, but since we're also celebrating 5 years of this anime, I'd like to hope it was worth it. Anyway though, Thank you once again for watching, and I hope to speak to you in my next video. Goodbye for now.